Welcome to the Give Grace, Give Space podcast, where we invite you to embrace your journey and rewrite your story. I'm Lacey.
I am Mel.
And what are we here for today?
Why you sing every time we...
I don't know. I just feel like we need to start off with some music.
Okay, that's your preference.
I don't know how YouTube does the music stuff, so I just create all my own.
Okay. I'm not offended or maddened by it. I'm just asking, just a question. Observation, that's what it is. Today is a
hefty topic. Let's put it that way. Well, that's my word.
Yeah,
hefty.
You can say it's hefty. We've tried to record this, I don't know how many times.
50.
Yeah, about 50 times. But every time it seemed like we just can't do it. The technology won't let us get it out. I don't know, but we're here today, and if you're watching this, that means we got it out finally. So today we're going to be talking about self-awareness. Self-awareness, saying that twice so everyone can think about it for a second.
I want to add a little piece on there. So self-awareness and how it affects your relationships, because we talk about life and relationships here. So
correct.
We might as well just, go ahead and
we can dive off into that sector, I guess you can say, of the discussion. But we're going to just figure out self-awareness, how it works in our lives.
So, Mel, I'm going to ask you this question, and I want you to be honest, okay?
Yes.
When did you start to realize, you know what, before I ask that question, let me go back. Maybe we should kind of define self-awareness. I'll go first and how I define it. And it's more so of having a sense of my own being. My mom always told me to never define a word with the word, and I almost say it with your own self. So with your own being, having knowledge, and you have this, like I read a word, awareness, but you know who you are. But I feel like there's a caveat to it.
Okay.
Because I can definitely attest to the fact that I have not always known who I am, and I'm ever changing.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
I can say yes, to know who you are, but if I could go, I don't want to say deeper, but if I just took a step back, I would assume that in the front of someone's mind, they probably already know who they are. Like in a situation, they already know how they're going to react or not react. So in that aspect, they know who they are. But I feel self-awareness is more of a deep dive of your person, not just the surface, just the whole encompassing person, from who you were to who you are or who you are going to be.
Oh, I like that.
So I think it's a full spectrum of person.
That sounds so what's the word? Academic
Academic
academic some philosophy or something.
Okay.
It seems very deep.
Thank
whereas
you.
I'm just to know who you are.
It's me.
It's me.
I am who
me,
I am.
Lord.
Yes. But yeah, we're going to try to, I guess, go to those philosophical depths of thinking with this. Hopefully, I don't know. Because as I said, we had this conversation, I don't know.
So many times.
It's
blossomed every time. So I'm excited to get into
it's always new thinking every time we talk about it. But yeah, let's just go into it before something happens, because it might. Please.
So when did you realize coming into your self-awareness?
When did I realize? As we had discussed before many times.
We are not going to keep saying it, by the way.
No, I'm
banning Mel from saying it from here on out.
Yeah, because just give you a overview of my thinking when I say that, so I won't have to say it again. I say that because every time I say it, I feel like it's almost rehearsed. Like I don't like to feel like it's rehearsed. You know, like I
Mhm.
have a storyboard. I'm just reading from that storyboard, and every time we talk about it, I feel differently. Every time we talk about it, I feel differently about it.
I think that's
So
pretty cool.
it's a new emotion that comes up every time we talk about it. So um, let me just take a whole new emotion now. So when did I start
Mhm.
my self awareness journey? Um, I started my self awareness journey probably. Oh, that's a good question. And I had an answer. But I have to think about it. It's a whole new emotion now. Okay. Before we just go into when is how did I get to self-awareness? So before the pandemic and all that jazz, um, it was during a time when we were early in our um
Marriage?
therapy. Yeah,
Oh.
marriage therapy. Um, and there was one session where it was brought up of my who I was and why are you the way you are, and basically I was just coming home and not being very um social, I guess you can say,
Mhm.
family oriented, just coming home and just crashing basically. And it was base basically in my head was like oblivion, like this is it. I'm gonna come. This is my life.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
This is my life. That
Not saying like my family, my family was anything bad. Was just before that going to work
Mhm.
because if you don't know about Houston, which you probably already know, Houston is huge. So we lived in the suburbs of Houston, Richmond.
Don't be putting our address out there like that.
Okay, we used to. And Richmond is far away from the city. So basically, you get up hour and a half in traffic, hopefully, and you get to work and you leave work. That's probably two
Another 2
two
hours.
hours. So it just it's just a grind, and it is tough. It was tough, and that's when I was basically in that oblivion mindset because it was just this is it. I'm going to do this
For the rest of my
for the
life.
rest of my life.
Just to take a pause
Yes,
real
please.
quick, I feel like we also grew up with that. Like, we saw our parents doing that.
Yeah.
That was their life, and then we were taught that you go to school, you go to college, you get a job,
And
and that is your
even in
life,
college,
right? Even in
even in
college,
college,
right, that's what we were
taught,
being prepped for,
yeah,
and,
groomed for it.
we're being groomed for it.
Mhm.
And I feel like very early, and I'm not gonna say just you, but I feel like the both of us, we realized, like, I don't want this to be my life.
Yeah, yeah,
And
you're correct.
yeah, so just
Yeah, that grind is tough.
it is.
It's not fun whatsoever. So yeah, it was during that time, and therapist. I basically explained it to therapist, but to go deeper in how I was feeling, it was basically like when I went to work, um, I wasn't I wasn't me. I was a um, Broadway
Jester.
award winning
Award winning.
actor or whoever they are, because basically I wasn't even me. I went in and had a smile, was
I
cordial.
knew you were doing it.
Yeah.
I knew it. Like, there was no way you were at work and you were the same person at home
No,
as you were at work.
no,
Because I'm like, I know you don't go to work and you act like this.
no. Yeah, I was playing a role. I was playing a role very well. Then come home. I couldn't give anything else. Like I gave all of me, my fake me and my real me. So I had nothing else to give you or the family. So at that point when
Could I just put
yeah,
another
please.
pause right there?
Yeah.
Because you said something, and I think this is very prevalent in relationships. Um, well, I mean, y'all let us know,
Yeah.
especially the singles out there still dating. It's very prevalent to where, and I feel like probably from a man's perspective, you give your all, right? Because my duty, my job is to take care of my family. And in order to take care of my family, I have to go to work. You give everything to your job and
Mhm.
you come home and we get what? The poop. We
Mhm.
get the
Yeah.
BS.
The
We
last,
get
if you get the last.
we are last.
Mhm.
But you and it's funny because it's like I'm doing everything for my first, but the way I show up for my first is that I put them last. Is
Mhm.
how I look at that.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
No, like not trying to put you down on it, but it was just a thought that came to mind, which
No,
we could definitely go into more. But
no, there's no putting down. It's life learned lessons. So, no, that's alliteration. Life learned lessons.
look at you,
Uh
English scholar over
huh.
here,
Okay. Um,
philosophist.
but yeah, but yeah, it it was a mundane life and that I was living, and at that point, when I thought about that question that was posed to me and what I thought, when I was answering it, that's what I thought.
Do you
And
remember what the question was?
no, no.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
I was just wondering.
It's probably on the terms like, why are you right now? Why are you doing this?
Okay. I feel like it was also around like what did you see growing up too? I remember a conversation about that and us getting into it.
Yeah. But yeah, to go further, that was the inkling. Um, but it didn't really go any further because sometime down the line, COVID happened. And COVID is the pimp slap king of the world because it hit everybody. It hit everybody. Because when you have to go into your home, when you have to go into your home with your family all day, don't have little kids, and don't have a relationship that's not, you know, well connected. Even the well connected probably broke a little bit.
Do
You
you
know,
feel like we were well connected?
during COVID, oh,
Mhm.
we was surviving. Like we were connected,
But
but
to your point of like
like we
well connected, don't have a relationship that's not well connected, and you feel like you were in a relationship that wasn't well connected.
we were well connected
Okay,
because we understood the struggle more or less, I guess you can say. Because
makes
it was more okay. I just got to maintain myself and try to maintain these kids,
Mhm.
and it was tough. It was tough.
I
Um,
did a good job of looking well connected then.
it was it was it was tough. But yeah, the COVID happened. So during that time, a lot of mental uns- ins-
Instability.
instability was going on. Just trying to figure out like what can we do? Because the same thing. You get up, roll out the bed, right onto your computer. The kids playing. You hope they'll come in and bust the door down and break the computer and all that stuff. It was tough for the both of us, and we are both accounting, so you have to crunch those numbers in a quiet setting almost. It was unforgiving, but at during that point, I decided to well, we decided really that I would stop working and try to maintain the household, the kids, try to get everything together and do everything. So Lacey wouldn't have to worry about it; she could just work. But
Can we put a pause right there one
yeah,
more time?
hmm
Y'all, I'm coming with the pauses because I'm like coming up with, what would our audience question in that, with what you just said?
yeah,
Well, why is it that you quit your job?
I was making less than you. So you were making more that could support the household.
Mm-hmm.
And I was willing to, let me take some things off your plate and just take most of the grunt of, the household living, and you just work, do what you got to do, and go from there. What are your thoughts?
No, that was
Okay.
exactly it. And darn, what was my point? my point, I like how you said, like, we made a decision, and I think we do a really good job at trying to support one another. Sometimes I think we do it to a fault as well,
Yeah,
trying to support
you
one
can do
another
that. Yeah,
because
it's
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 like I don't ever wanna step on your toes, I don't wanna step on your dreams
yeah.
and the things that you have, lined up for yourself,
Hmm.
so it's just kinda like, fine, but I do think we're getting into this space of a healthier space of being more open and honest
Yeah,
about how we truly feel about it because at that time, I didn't tell you how I truly felt about that.
yeah, yeah.
That came out much later.
Correct.
And although it was like, um, not logistically, but it logically made sense.
Hmm.
If one of us were going to have to quit our job, well, obviously the person that's making more money probably needs to continue working,
Hmm. Yeah.
which made me have such a disdain
Hmm.
for making more money.
Yeah, which is understandable.
Like for a long time, like I hated always making more money.
Hmm. Yeah,
So, but yes, we did decide on that together.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh,
I'm loving this story.
yeah. So we made that decision. I stopped working, and I was right in it, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It was tough. You would think like, oh, okay, I'm not working. I don't have to worry about any of these, deadlines or anything. But no, it only put a brighter light to my internal suffering, I guess you can say, that was going on. Because it wasn't pleasant.
Mhm.
It wasn't pleasant at all. It wasn't anything that I thought it would be, and that just brought me down. But I know that we discussed. Um, was it during that time that you said I was suppressed during that time, or
Mhm.
could you expound on that? Because that was a good observation that you had.
Um
I don't just do it as best you can. Cause go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So, during this time, I felt as though you were depressed, but to be honest, I felt like you were more depressed than you had been in the past.
Hmm.
So there are moments to where it's like, "Depressed? Are you?" Like, you never really looked happy. And
Hmm.
maybe that's also something I've had to learn with, like, what does looking happy look like? And is there a way like, do you have to look a certain way to be happy? Is
Hmm.
happiness even the goal? Right.
When we say the goal of what
Like, is that your goal? Like, my goal is to be happy. I feel like
in life, or
just one of your goals. Like,
okay.
one of my goals is to be happy. I feel like it's such a surfacey type of goal. Not to say it's not a real goal, but it's
Hmm.
almost very surface level. Like, if I had like, okay, do I want to be happy or at peace?
Hmm.
I'm probably going to choose peace.
Hmm. Yeah,
And I feel like through with peace, I probably am happy
yeah, I can
because
see that.
with just happiness, I'm probably not at peace
Yeah.
or something. I feel like it's such a fleeting moment.
Hmm.
So during this time, it was just like, before then, it's like, okay, Mel doesn't seem happy right now. Once again, it was those very fleeting moments. But
Hmm.
during this time, um, and this goes back to my disdain for making more money and having to be the one to work. Because I'll be honest, I wanted to homeschool our children.
Yeah, we were.
And we were homeschooling
Yeah.
them. And because I wanted to do that,
Hmm.
couple of reasons. I wanted to do it, and I had this issue with control. So
Hmm. Control freak. Huh?
I'm a control freak
Yeah,
and a super freak.
I didn't.
I'm
Okay.
joking. I'm joking, guys. Kidding.
Okay.
So we got all the information to start homeschooling them, and I wanted to be a part of that
Hmm.
as well, although I was working. So I will say a part of this was for me I inserted myself into something that I probably shouldn't have inserted myself so much into
Mhm.
because I didn't have the time because I was having to work. But it was like, when would I get this opportunity again?
Yeah.
And for when I saw you, one thing that I saw, like, once again, you didn't look happy.
Mhm.
You looked even more stressed out. Y'all, he looked more stressed out after he left that job.
Mhm.
And let's be clear, I feel like you've been wanting to leave that job for a while.
No, not exactly. Looking back, no.
No?
Compared to what, other stuff I know. No, it was great. It was great. It
Well,
was great.
don't compare it to the stuff that's happened subsequent to you leaving back in during the pandemic, but
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, you just want to run out the door,
Mhm.
but if an opportunity was to ever arise,
Yeah.
I feel like you were like, "Okay, cool, I'll leave this job."
Yeah, it was lucrative enough, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, here it is. You have this opportunity, you to spend time with your children.
Mhm.
Um, you had these abilities that I wasn't necessarily privy to at the time because
Mhm.
I was working. But you look sad and defeated.
Mhm.
I feel like we were probably talking less during this time than we probably ever did talk.
Mhm.
And as y'all can probably tell, I am a talker, but I also understood that we were at home together
Yeah.
all day. And not only were we at home, my dad and my stepmom and stepbrother, they were here as
Yeah.
well for some time. So
Mhm.
even feeling overwhelmed or like, oh, you know how when people are at your house
Mhm.
and you feel like you're having to do this sort of entertaining gesture, not that they're asking for it, but you want to be a good host.
Yeah.
So I did think about that. I was like, well, Mel's doing such a great job. Even then, y'all, he was cooking. Mel was doing some cooking and
Mhm.
stuff. So you were doing things, but you just had this demeanor to yourself to where you just didn't look happy,
Yeah. Mhm.
just to make it very plain and simple. And I was telling you, it was like, Mel, I feel like you probably need to talk to somebody.
Yeah. And, on that note, excuse me. On that note, I have to appreciate your patience because it was tough. It was tough for me. I'm pretty sure it was tough for you. But I appreciate your patience. Thank you. Um, um, but yeah, I did. I'm doing this again. I sook. I seeked it.
I saw
I sought out some help. So I got with a therapist, and I was prescribed some medication for depression, anxiety, which what you think? Okay, I'm gonna take some medication. This gonna boom. It's, I'm there. Nope. It's something called therapeutic.
it's a sharp decline down.
Yeah, therapeutic takes time to enter your body and work. So yeah, it hit me hard. I was tired all the time. It was like 3 weeks of this. Tired, just
He
my
was asleep.
sleep. My body just shut down from that stuff.
So,
Just shut
which
down.
meant that, here I am taking care
Yeah,
of the
taking care of the
kids
kids while she
and
was working.
working,
Yes, and
lunchroom lady. I remember us talking about how we were the lunchroom men and ladies.
yeah, and thank God her job was, understanding and lenient because
Flexible.
basically I'm
Had
pretty
an
sure everyone
amazing
was
team.
on the same level. But yeah, it took three weeks, probably close to 4 weeks, for actually kick in. And when it kicked in, I say this. Sorry if I'm
Leave that alone.
okay. I'm fidgety because I'm trying to think. Um, but when it kicked in, it was the most eye-opening feeling I could have ever had, and it's still a eye-opening feeling when I think back to it. Um, it just hit me. Well, it just hit me, but it was growing to that. It was in me, and I felt it coming. But when it actually came, it was almost a bright light, and a feeling just came over me like What is this? I can't say it's euphoric, but if you're feeling so depressed and so down for so long, and this feeling hits you
Mhm.
of peace, that's what it was. Peace. Just straight peace. Basically, the house could have been on fire around me. I was just sitting there like, wow, this is
Look at
nice.
those flames.
Yeah, these some beautiful orange, red flames. Oh man, the TV melting right there. Oh man. Well, I guess I gotta walk out this house. And then let me take my time and get my
Come on,
shoes.
kids.
Yeah. But
None of
yeah,
this happened, by the way. We were
no, no.
completely fine.
Yeah. But that's how it felt like. It was just a great feeling. And that right there was the point where like, okay, if I'm feeling like this, should I have been feeling like this my whole life? Like, is this regular feeling basically? Is this what is feel to be regular and not sad, not depressed or not anxious?
Mhm.
And at that point, I was like, okay, this feeling, I have to stick with this feeling as long as I can, as long as I can. And as I said, at that point, that's when I start chasing that feeling, trying to keep that feeling. And that's when my self awareness journey started, I would say. The end. I'm sorry for the long story, but
Sorry, not sorry. I
it's a
think
deep
that's a good
story.
one.
But
And I would also say, especially coming from a Black man,
mhm,
it's not one that you typically hear.
mhm.
I feel like we're now opening the doors for that to be received more, but I like your story. And to believe it or not, I feel like it was our first time talking about it since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Trying to record this
Yes.
episode for quite some time.
Yes. Yes.
So
The first, second, third, six, eight time. Yeah. But yeah, that's my time. Please.
so as we talk about
Mhm,
self-awareness and, I made mine very basic, just knowing thyself.
mhm.
But it's more than that to just know yourself. So I think that's very broad. It's a very broad terminology, like to
To
know
know thyself,
yeah, to know
to know
yourself.
yourself.
But to know what about yourself? To know and I want to kind of get into my journey, knowing what I like, what I don't like. I feel like that's very surfacey.
Mhm.
How I speak, how do I respond to some things? Don't roll up on me because you might get got. Just stuff like that. And I wore like knowing that about myself as a badge of honor,
Mhm.
right? Like I know who I am. I know that I'm probably going to respond this way. After my first corporate job, it was so incredibly bad. And I feel like to this day, I still have some PTSD around it.
Yeah.
I stepped into every other job role like, I ain't taking no crap. And I feel
Yeah.
like I've been known for, Lacey's not gonna take no crap.
Mhm.
So, I felt good about that. I felt like that was such a big step, in which that was definitely well before the pandemic, but to like you, when the
Mhm.
pandemic hit, it made me get even deeper. And I remember explaining this to someone one time, um, because we were reading a book at the time, and we were reading Marriage Should Be Hard. And it was talking about being honest and open and vulnerable. Child, when we hit that word vulnerable,
Mhm.
because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm honest. I'm very open with Mel. Like Mel knows everything about me, good,
Mhm.
bad, ugly, things I want to try and things I won't try.
Yeah.
But when we got to vulnerability, and that had to deal with a deeper level of self, of knowing yourself,
Mhm.
that one was hard
Yeah.
for me. That one was before I can even be vulnerable with you, I have to allow myself to be vulnerable with myself
Mhm.
and to say, like, hey, you remember that time this happened? That's why you now do this.
Yeah.
That's why you respond this way. Or that's why you stay away from, people like this or the situation. And it was very eye-opening, it was scary. So I explained it.
What would you say those vulnerabilities or opening of doors was, um um, I don't wanna say pleasant, but was it a feeling of, "Okay, I I don't I don't wanna do this, but I have to do this for the greater good of me?" Or did you think about like, "Okay, let me just do it just to do it and see what happens."
Absolutely not. When I saw that about myself, because one, I don't like being wrong,
Mhm,
and I think I've stated it before.
mhm.
So even to go through it, it's like, "Oh god, I've been wrong about myself all along.
Mm.
I'm not who I thought I was."
Jeez.
But to be honest,
Yeah,
we wanna grow, right? We wanna
right.
grow, and being self-aware means that you're growing and you see that you're not that same person that you used to be.
Mhm,
So it was not easy for me, and I remember, like, describing it as an onion, and I was peeling back layers.
mhm,
When you cut an onion, those first 2 layers are, well, I guess you can say this, they're kinda just flaking off, right?
mhm,
Those layers are just kinda flaking off. Those are easy,
mhm,
and then you gotta get into the others,
mhm,
and that one was the hard one. When I started peeling back stuff about myself,
mhm,
I was like, "Ooh, I ain't gonna tell nobody about this one. Imma just
mm,
put that over into the side,
yeah,
and I handle it all on my own."
and tears start coming.
Until until,
Mhm,
the better version of me comes out, and
yeah,
then I can tell the story and be like, "Oh, yeah, I remember when." But to just
right,
even
yeah,
talk about it during the time,
mhm,
and I love talking about my journey as I'm going on my journey, but when I started peeling that back, I was like, "No, sir.
yeah,
I ain't telling nobody about
of
this
course.
one."
Yeah, of course,
So,
of course.
it was like, and I told you the other day, like, I feel like there's this internal and external factor of self-awareness. That was a very internal for me, but the fact that we were working through this together as
Mhm,
well, that was an external side
yeah,
because we had to ask each other questions.
mhm,
And not only did I ask you questions because, that was us relationship wise, helping me with just personal, but I've also been on a journey with my career, and I asked my peers and my coworkers,
mhm,
my very best friends, people who are closest to me, and honestly, also people who weren't that close to me, like,
mhm,
what do you see? And just kind of getting other people's feedback because I I have this narrative of myself in my head.
which everyone does.
Right. But is that the same narrative that other people have?
Mhm,
And not to say that, well, if you don't have the same narrative that I have, you're wrong and you don't know me.
mhm,
But there could be that they're filling in the gaps.
mhm.
They see something about you that you're completely blinded
Yeah,
by.
or a caveat, or you can be completely off, and you could be just living in la la land in your head, and the feedback that you're getting from people is the real feedback of how you are actually being perceived by them and the outside world. And
Mhm.
now your thoughts are broken now. Like, okay, I thought it was this.
Mhm.
It's not really this at all. So yeah, keep going, please.
I thought I was a bad A in the corporate world,
Yeah,
but
but no.
really I just don't mix and mingle
Hmm.
when it can become a bit controversial, or
Hmm.
I don't do conflict.
Yeah, yeah.
Therefore, I don't ever experience this
Hmm.
stuff
Because the human mind going to create its own narrative to fit,
to protect itself as well,
not
right?
necessarily protect itself, because everyone has their own perception of outside and the inside. And your perception is guided, well, is created by your life and how you grew up and what you saw when you grew up and what you did and how you just went about life. That all goes into what how you perceive is what your life is now and what it has been. So you might have a great life and you perceive things to be great, but they probably not great.
Right.
But your perception has been always great. So you're gonna keep thinking everything's great.
Everything's great.
You never want to get into the real. And the real is hard because the real is gonna break who you are within your perception.
To that point, like taking a step back into the pandemic time and how you came off work and it's like we made this decision together. One, because it was the most logical decision to make.
Yeah.
And for me, like I want to be known and oh, that's ooh, I want to be known.
Mhm.
That right there, I already let you know, like I care about what other people are thinking.
Mhm.
And by the way, and I've said for so long, I don't care what people think.
Mhm.
If it's not real, I really don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna admit this on this
Go ahead.
episode.
I wanna hear it. So get close.
It was your mom saying to me, "You do care what people think."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh, absolutely not. Mm-mm.
Mhm.
She don't know me."
Mhm.
She was right.
Say it with the people in the back.
She was right.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
She was right. And it wasn't like in that moment I was just trying
Mhm.
to not agree with her or anything. Like I honestly thought that.
Mhm.
But over time, things had come up and I started to pay more attention to myself. And I was like, oh, I might be doing this because underneath all of this, I care what so and so thinks
Correct.
or how they're viewing me.
Mhm.
So I instead of me now trying to like get rid of it, I now just allow myself to recognize it and ask, why do you care what so and so thinks about this or the way you just said that or whatever? Like, what is it? Because it's not so much about them caring, it's the why behind it.
Mhm.
I question a lot more now. But anyway, so during that time, it's like, oh, I'm a millennial woman. Our relationship
Yes.
is quite different. It is not a very traditional relationship.
Wait, you talking about the relationship between you and me?
Yeah, it
Okay.
is not very
Mhm.
traditional. And
Yeah.
although I, at one point, tried to be traditional,
Yeah.
I feel
Mhm.
that wore me out, y'all. Like I was just woe out.
Mhm. Yeah.
During those times when you were coming home, like
Mhm.
I feel 2-hour drive and I'm at
Mhm.
home with the baby. I did
Yeah.
go to work
The pioneer woman
and
making
I'm
meals and
cooking and we're waiting for
casseroles and
daddy to come home because we're gonna eat when daddy gets home. Listen,
yeah.
for the birds.
Yeah.
We're now, and I remember my friend telling me, like, why are you doing that? Just eat. And I know I'm jumping all over the place. Why are you doing that? Just eat. And I told her I value us eating together. But it's something that I didn't have, and I want to make sure that my children have it.
Mhm.
But probably too often as parents, we might put so much value in something that we didn't have to where we are discounting the fact that this could show up a different way,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Like maybe it doesn't have to be like, oh, we sit at the table together.
Mhm.
Maybe it can be, okay, it's just me and mommy. And then when daddy gets home, you're going to have your time with daddy.
Mhm.
You get to have his undivided attention. Like that could be more valuable
Yeah.
for him versus we waiting to 9 o'clock at night to eat because
Yes.
you on your way home and we have to do all this over again tomorrow. So anyway,
Yeah.
during this time, during
Mhm.
the pandemic,
Yeah.
I saw myself supporting you. But then there was this other version of me, keep hitting this mic, that was upset. I was angry. And I had to start questioning, like, why am I feeling like this? And this was like, The least Mel could do is talk to me. The least he could do and da 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 da. And you say I was patient, and I feel like for a while I couldn't let you know or see that I was upset.
Mhm.
Then it became, and I don't think being upset was something bad either, it's just how I felt.
It is emotion.
It was my emotion,
Yeah.
right? But it wasn't until later on, and it was probably last year. Probably the year before last. I remember saying like, I resent the fact that you had that time off, that you were able to do that.
Mhm.
But I want to say it was last year that I realized I resented me,
Mhm.
myself, for not being as brave as you were. Because I think that was a very big decision
Mhm.
for you to make. One, okay, it's a couple of ones, but one, let me at least get off one of
Okay.
them. One, I didn't know how you felt making that decision as being the man of the house.
Mhm.
You've never come off um with an ego issue to me,
Mhm.
but like I was really just caught up in my own world, and I didn't think about that.
Mhm.
And two, to my point of how people thinking, like he just made a decision to where now our family is about to know that he ain't working. Like he even quit his job,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And also for me, coming from a more traditional parents, how is this gonna look? Not on me, but on the man that I've chosen to be with. Oh my God. But during that time, it's just like, I don't care what they say, they don't pay these bills.
Yeah.
I mean, and to that point,
Mm.
I
There's a lot of
there
ones.
is
A
this
lot of ones. There you
there
go.
is this like they don't pay my bills, but underneath it all, like I knew I couldn't allow that to drive me.
Yeah.
But there was still this like, whew, okay, how's this gonna look?
Mhm.
Because I might be getting the questions of, well, is he gonna go back, or when is it gonna
Mhm.
happen and stuff like that. So it wasn't until last year that I realized, I'm like, I didn't resent you. I resented, like, we did what we had to do at that point in time, but even afterwards, right? You've
Yeah.
gotten jobs afterwards. We've been completely fine,
Yeah.
and I have been wanting to do something else for so long, and it hit me like I resented the fact that I have not taken that step.
Mhm.
Knowing that you would support me,
Mhm.
but to my to my detriment, I feel I carry this invisible burden
Mhm.
of or this invisible load of like carrying my family on my back as if I have to do it by myself.
You're carrying societal norms, which society says the woman usually
The black woman.
is usually that. So yeah, it's a heavy burden.
It was heavy. And I also feel like it's because I come from a single parent household, and I've
Mhm.
seen my mom do that, and I compare myself to my mom so much. I remember being in therapy one time, and she was like, "You're not your mom, so why do you keep going back to her?
Mhm.
You don't have to do the same things your mom did.
Mhm.
That was a different time. Like your mom made those decisions because she was in a different situation."
Yeah.
So I'm getting all teary eyed now, and I cannot cry because my mascara is gonna run down.
Yeah, that's
And I'm gonna
important,
look
huh?
ugly.
Okay. We can edit it out. We can edit that mascara to make you look.
What we gonna put on there?
I don't know.
Just put me some little like emojis, the crying emojis coming down
Mm.
like this.
Put the Michael Jordan crying face on you. That's what it's gonna look like. Mm.
So it was during that time to where I had these feelings, and it was just like I'm upset, I'm angry, I can't tell Mel this. He's depressed. Like what, how does this even look? But then I feel like I exploded,
Yeah.
and it was a lot. It was a lot, as you said, and having to just get through that. wanna say that was the time I started to do more I started to pick up meditation,
Yeah.
and it helped.
Mhm.
Just the very basics of breathing, like
Mhm.
taking
Well,
a step back and breathing.
with that, do you want to get into our list of self awareness steps, or do you want to?
Oh, no, that's fine. Oh,
So,
what did we do? The
well,
things that we
yeah,
did to
since
help
we had this
ourselves?
conversation so many times, we actually created some steps. They're not, you know, end all be all steps, but something to help you out on your journey of self awareness. But um, just to reiterate from our self awareness journeys, I guess I took a standpoint from a personal self awareness, and you took it from both personal and relationship. Um,
Mhm.
so that's great. So self awareness, step one. If you want to be self aware, a little bit more self aware, because you probably are self aware, just a little bit more self aware. Step one, you have to be willing to go into the depths of your mind, the depths of your person, childhood, preteen, teen, early 20s, wherever you are in life. You got to be willing to go back and search and learn and find out why you are who you are right now, which is tough. As you said, you have to open those doors, the vulnerabilities. It's not easy. It's not easy whatsoever, because once you start opening things up,
What happens? I wanna know. What happens when you open
it is
You
just
can't put it back? Is that what you wanna say?
no, not really. You can't really put it back, because it's not for you to put it back. Because if you're on this self awareness journey, you open it up and you accept what it is.
Y'all, he meant that. He tapped that book with that middle finger. He meant that. It was like doing this.
Okay. But yes, when you start opening those doors, those vulnerabilities, those thoughts, those past experiences, to figure out, okay, why am I like this right now? And why do I feel like this right now? What is triggering me to do this or feel this way or just be in this space? You have to let it be, because that's the start. You have to feel those feelings, feel all of them, so you can understand where is it coming from. It's
What
Go ahead.
what comes to mind is like you're no longer ignorant to.
Yeah. You can't ignorance is not going to be bliss anymore, because that's basically what it was. Now you are in it. You are in yourself, deep, all the way to the knee, foot all the way up to the knee. Might go to the hips. I don't know. That's your life, your self awareness.
Yeah, I don't know what he talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I get a little emotional. Um, but yes, you have to be willing. As I said, you can lead a horse to water, but
Can't make him drink.
can't make them drink. And as we're leading you to the water, you can decide to drink or not. I'm not calling you a horse, but okay. Step two, gonna take your self awareness that you are or in the process of doing. You have to take that self awareness and turn it into self control, because all the self awareness that you have is basically, um, let's just say your self awareness is almost like triggers. That's within you. You feel a certain way when things happen. That means you're self aware. Once you self aware, okay, she said something to me that triggered me because back in the past this happened in my life. Okay, that's why I'm feeling
Because
like
somebody
this
called
right
me
now.
Popeyes,
Oh yeah, that could hurt. That could hurt.
and then they had to get kicked in the face.
Yes, and you take all that emotion, and when it happens to you, you know what it is. You feel it. Now you have self control over that feeling. And that's what you just want to take it in. Okay, I'm not going to be triggered by this because I know why I am triggered by this, basically.
You make this sound so simple because you like, because now you have self-control. Like, nah, brother, I don't know
Yeah,
if that's
yeah.
how it
I
works.
have to make it sound simple because
You
that's
just
how
do-do.
yeah, that's how
All
these books gonna, when you read books about, step one, oh, like an IKEA book, you're putting something together. Oh, just screw this in. No, it's more than that. You start
you start
flipping.
doing the work. You do the
Yeah,
work to
you do the work.
gain
Step
some
one, you do
self-control.
all the work. Step two, you're doing work and you putting the work into action. As in, okay, I'm taking control of myself because back then I was in ignorance. I popped off for no reason. I know the reason now. Now I can control why I'm popping off. I'm not gonna do it anymore. No more. I'm gonna try. Sorry, I'm gonna try not to do it anymore. But I'm gonna continue to learn.
There's okay.
Mhm.
Because I really still feel like you're making it sound very easy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. But we can go back through each one of these and
no. Where
put
we are,
color
yeah,
on it.
where we are,
Hmm.
like it's just not having self-control because I feel like sometimes, or at least I used to do this a lot. Just do the opposite, duh.
Okay.
Like that was my thing.
Yeah.
It's like a light switch. It's a
Mhm.
flip of a switch. Do the opposite. I
It's
mean,
not.
it's not.
It's not.
It's rocket science, and it's not because just as you've probably practiced, we. I'm going to use the word practice, and you, unbeknownst to you, were practicing it
Hmm.
um, to get yourself tailor made into the person you are today. Now we have to unpractice and feel the. It's your favorite word right now.
Void.
Void.
Mhm. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
smells favorite word.
Okay.
And fill the void. So how do you do that? And and I think that's where it goes back to you talking about, okay, you're going to therapy. So now you're talking to somebody about it. It's
Yes.
not just you in your head.
Correct.
You're feeling that with something else. Um, you're journaling, right? That's something new and sexy that you picked up this year.
Okay. I didn't know what sex it would. Go ahead.
Oh, it is sexy,
Okay.
Mel.
Okay.
It's inspiring. Mel has picked up journaling.
Hmm. Yeah. It's
How's it going for you?
it's it's going. I'm not saying it's hard or anything. It's just all the thoughts in my head can. I'm finally writing them down, and it's actually um it's releasing. Like I'm able to release, and it feels good because when your thoughts are in your head and you write it down, it's all jumbled up in my head, and I can't necessarily. Somebody tell me how you feel. I can't verbally say it, but if I write it down, I can actually articulate how I'm feeling.
Y'all, it's been 10 years. How you feeling? And that's what I was getting.
I was like,
It,
read
dude,
page 3. That's all. Read page 3. That's
I
all.
would gladly read page 3 now. Yeah,
Yeah,
gladly.
yeah, yeah. It's a journey.
So,
Hmm.
um, so the journaling,
Hmm.
and then kind of going back to my whole thing about mindfulness, just breathing and
Hmm.
understanding how breathing, like what breathing actually does for you,
Yeah.
and lowering your heart
All right.
rate and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So
It's being present.
being present and just,
Correct.
I tell Noah sometimes, a lot of the times now, hey, take 10 seconds before you say something back to me.
Okay. Because you just say anything.
He pop off quick, but
What
like
that got to do anything?
take 10 seconds. I just really want you to take a moment and think.
Think about.
And I don't necessarily just only want you to think about what you're going to say, but I also want you to think about the tone of voice that you're using.
Correct. Correct.
Think about what I just said to you. Like, was I popping off?
Hmm.
Like, was mommy being mean,
Hmm.
or did it sound mean? And because sometimes, back to what you're saying, we've created this narrative.
Hmm.
Like, anytime I talk to you, it probably just sounds like I'm yelling. And sometimes it's like, hey, no, don't forget to pick up your X, Y, and Z. I know.
Hmm.
It's just like,
Yeah.
bro, I just said, don't forget.
Yeah. That's it.
That was a gentle reminder.
You just going. You doing too much, man.
So
Just remember.
maybe doing those types of steps of taking a step back for
Yeah.
10 seconds, or what's the other thing where you like with your five senses?
It was
Um,
like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
5 things you
Identify 5 things in your
you
space
know,
with your
4
eyes.
things that
What's
you can smell or something, like
here?
3 things you
Yeah.
can hear, 2 things that you can, I don't know, touch, 1 thing that you can
Taste,
taste. Yeah.
which is making you, really
Yeah,
become
so
rooted
grounding.
in your
You grounding
present
yourself.
moment.
Grounding yourself.
So, I
Yes.
I just wanted to kinda, like,
Yes, yes. You
you do have to do some work
yes.
and replace it and not
So
as easy as Mel made it
no,
sound.
no,
I
it's
mean, he
no.
did just
I
start
just have to
journaling.
yeah. Yeah. I just had to, try to get some 3 easy to remember steps or easy to do, somewhat do steps, but it's a lot of work, guys. When you put the work in, wait, let me just get to my last one. And step 3 will be just practice. Practice, practice, practice. Practice your self-control, practice on your self-awareness, practice on what you are thinking and how you're feeling and able to identify, okay, this is why I'm feeling this way. Practice on taking time to just be present and just don't pop off. Just don't do something just all of a sudden because your mind said, oh, I already do it. No, no, just,
Reactive. We don't wanna be reactive, we wanna be proactive.
yeah. But wait, if something happened, then
I mean, in all our
proactive.
situations,
You
like,
want
we
to you want to be
reactive.
proactive, so when you react, is not a pop off type situation.
Can I just
Oh,
kinda
please,
slide on in here with a
yeah,
story?
please.
So, back in the day, my parents about to be just, ooh, tired of me after this. They listen, man.
Mhm.
But
No more Christmas.
my friends gonna know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
We used to go to the mall, and guys would be trying to holler, but, we not here for that. We here, we cute, we dressed up,
Hmm.
and I don't wanna talk to you. I'll say, "Hey, hey." I feel like Edwina now, "Hey."
Hmm.
And, I'll say, "Hey" to you, but you like, "Come here, little mama, come here." "No, thanks." And then they say something.
Hmm.
"Don't nobody wanna talk to you with your" Come
Yeah.
on now, why did you have to do that?
Hmm.
Because now I gotta get ig
Hmm.
I gotta get ignorant
Yeah.
in this mall at the age of 13.
Hmm. Yeah.
I was a very reactive child outside of my parents' view.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people were,
And
still are.
I feel like some of that I did take into adulthood,
Hmm.
and I had to learn not to be that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was me. Like, I would cuss you up and down from the floor to the ceiling because
Hmm.
you just said something that was uncalled for. I mean, clearly everything that I said was completely uncalled for.
Hmm.
I had no couth, but
That
I do
was
today.
your background. So
Was it my background? What you gonna say about my background?
you tell me.
I didn't say that, y'all. Mel said that. He said it was my background.
Okay. All right. You don't want to say it again. All right. That's fine. All right.
So
But
yeah, that was me being reactive, and now
mhm.
I was just trying to give an example of being reactive. But you said something about like, what if the situation? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. If a situation happens, then you have to react to the
yeah, I gotta
situation.
react to the situation.
I know you're gonna be proactive to be able to react
Right,
properly.
right. Because I think of all kinds of ways
Yeah,
to do things
yeah.
in my spare time.
I don't even want to know. But yes, the third one would be practice. So, and I got all this basically step 1, step 2, step 3. You need to be communicating with someone during all these steps. Communication is key because if you are doing self awareness by yourself, you are creating your own perception of yourself, and that's not what you're trying to do, really. Yes, you are trying to do it, but you're trying to create a
Holistic version.
yeah, a holistic, better better version of yourself.
Right,
Um, for the people outside of you and the person inside of you.
right.
So, you want to be able to communicate because if you don't communicate, as I said, you have your own perception. You like, oh, I'm doing great. I know who I am. You know,
Just made me think about something.
I can control all my, thoughts. I know all my thoughts, and outside people say this guy is I don't really want to be around this person because he does not know what he's doing or
He's a
saying.
Looney Tune.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but yeah. So you want to communicate with a therapist, communicate with friends, if you're in a relationship, your significant other, just anybody.
I got 2 things to say on it. I
S-
got 2 on
Go
it.
ahead.
Okay. One, the first thing is you said communicate. And I think in one of our previous episodes, I mentioned God did not put us here to do life alone.
Hmm.
Like he wants us to be in community.
Yeah,
And I'm not trying to say that your community has to be in church. It has to be with a religious affiliation or anything like that. But find dare dare I what is the word?
dare I say?
Dare I say, I was about to say, dare I not say, dare I say people like you. But let me just say like-minded people. And I feel like it's also a good thing to find people who's probably where you are imagining yourself being,
Correct.
right? To communicate with, to start spending time around and just maybe even picking up on some of the things that they do.
Yeah, yeah.
So community is so important, which is why we have started this,
Hmm.
because we want to create a space of community.
Community.
And please leave comments and we can chat back and forth. As you can tell, I love chatting.
Yep.
And the second thing was you said somebody, but I would I would say, I mean, if it's your therapist, you paying them,
Correct. You paying
blow
them.
them up.
Hmm.
But sometimes that somebody, if it's like you're leaning really hard on your spouse, your partner, you're leaning really hard on your friends,
Hmm.
also take a step back because if you're probably leaning that hard, you probably do need to bring a professional in and
Yes.
not just, I just wanted to put that in there
Yeah.
and not just say, somebody, but
Hmm.
give that space sometimes. I remember our therapist telling me, like, Lacey, you're emotionally dumping.
Hmm.
He's not here for that right now. He just want to go and sit down and chill out.
Hmm.
And I'm like, but I have so much going on. Like I'm going through a hard time, and he's here, and he should be the one to listen to me because he's my spouse,
Hmm.
right?
That's the idea.
We said for better or worse, and by golly, I'm having a worse time right
And you dump, and
now.
we all in the dump.
And he's not responding the way I want him to respond.
Yeah.
Now it's even worse. So it was like that. It is emotionally dumping. And I remember her even sending over like the definition in the middle of
Hmm.
us
Yeah.
having that conversation. And I was like,
Mm.
I see.
And here's a thought too. Yes. You're leaning on friends, family, spouses, whatever. Yes, but with the therapist part, yes, a therapist will be great. The family, the friends, all that, that's going to be real world encounters. The therapist is someone you go back with these real world encounters. Say they did this because when I say all this, now the therapist is going to analyze. Okay, now think about all that you said in that encounter. Now, how do you feel about that? So it's going to get even deeper. So you need almost both.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah,
Like you need both.
yeah.
Um, I mean, like what's the worst that could happen,
Hmm.
right? And there's so many different ways you can do it, whether it's you have your friend, you're journaling, you have your therapist or whatever like that. But yeah, just the emotional dumping and finding, and it got to a point where we had to find a time
Yeah.
to talk about maybe things that were bothering me because Mel's a bit more bottled up.
Oh
Whereas
yes.
I'm like, it just happened and I need to get it off my chest. I need to
Yeah.
say it with my chest and get it off my chest.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I want to say on that part.
Yeah. That's basically it. Uh, you have to be first. You have to be willing to be self aware. Step two, you got to be take your self awareness to self control. Three, you practice, and with all those steps, you need to be communicating with someone. Because communication is key. Because you're not going to know what's going on within you without knowing basically what's the external how people perceive you externally.
I just wanna say, now that we've talked about self-awareness, and the thing that keeps coming up for me is, um, shoot, what's the word? Where you have boundaries.
Hmm.
Maybe our next one should be about boundaries
Yeah,
and setting boundaries, because how can you set a I mean, you totally can. I
yeah,
was gonna say, how can you set a boundary without being self-aware? But I'm pretty sure it's much better to set a boundary
yeah, and
with being self-aware.
which I did say something to you about boundaries before and how I perceive boundaries from being going on my self awareness journey, my journaling, which I when we make the episode, I'll fully divulge because it was actually it's quite amazing what I wrote down, and it was just like when I wrote it down, like I'm just gonna write this down because this how I feel. Because it was basically when I write, sometimes I want to write, okay, this
Poetic.
not necessarily poetically. It's like this basically sounds good, almost like if I'm talking to someone.
Right. And
But
that's not what
when I'm
journaling
journaling,
is.
I'm like when I'm learning, you have to force. I have to force some of these things out, and I just wrote down like exactly how I felt, and it dealt with boundaries.
I have no idea what Mel is talking about. I don't think
Yeah,
we talked about that.
it
If
was
he's talking about he done wrote something down, I gotta go find this journal.
like it was
No, are you giving a teaser?
no, no. I'm just saying
We'll be back next time.
it'll be back to
We'll be back next time
it
with
was
Mel's secret boundaries.
it's crazy. It's crazy, but it makes sense for my life. But yeah. But yeah.
Our life, Mel. Our life.
Yeah, my life before you and with you. Yes. Yeah, cuz it goes all the way back.
Ooh, I can't wait. This
Yeah.
sounds juicy.
I think you don't remember.
I am gonna remember.
Once I start talking about it, he's like, "Oh, okay. I told you about it."
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. But those are the 3 steps. Communicate
Mel gonna
throughout.
give y'all these steps.
Yeah. I did my best. We did our best.
You did a great job, babe.
Yeah, in the comments, if you have any thoughts about, your self-awareness, or if you've been on a journey, and we be honest, we are always on the journey because we are always changing. That's what you want to do. You want to change
We
and
hope
grow.
that
Yeah,
it's
yeah, we hope.
changing.
We hope. We hope. And yes, you're always on a journey. You always have to check in with yourself and communicate that out to the people you trust. And yeah, just keep going, keep growing. It's 2024. What you say?
New
New
year, new
year.
me.
There you go. There
New
you
year,
go.
new me.
I didn't have to. Okay.
You know I'm here for it.
Yeah. And it's good time to change. Start changing. Some people just been in a rut. Why not start something new? I did, and it's eye opening. It's eye opening. Journaling, eye opening. Reading, eye opening. Like just stuff that you have not done, and is very edifying for your person. Do it because you going to get quite a bit out. So yes, that's all I have.
And on that note, we're gonna roll out.
Yeah. Okay, that's a
Peace.
lot.